Adam here with Brooksaw Antiques. Today I'm going to show you how to remove the platen and change out the feeder rollers on an Olivetti Lettera 32 vintage portable typewriter. We're going to change out the feeders with these 3D printed replicas. First thing you want to do is try to remove that left knob, and sometimes you can break it with just your fingers by holding the right knob and then the left knob and just lefty-loosey, and it pops up. And I already had that loosened, so most of the time you won't be able to get a good enough grip on there with your fingers. So what you're going to have to do is get in there with some pliers and a rag. So I'm going to take these. You don't have to have channel vice grips, but anything that's wide enough to get over that and getting a good grip on it. And you don't want to try to muscle it too much because you'll damage something. Right now that's good enough. And then I'm going to take these other channel locks that I have, and I'm going to put a rag over the knob and then get a good grip on the back. And then you're just going to make sure the rag is all over the knob. And once you have a good grip that's not going to slip, you're just going to turn it like this. Just like a lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And once it breaks, you just let it go. And if you did it right, you won't damage anything. And then you can just remove that knob. And that knob's going to have a bunch of threads. So you just got to keep turning and turning. And I like to always put this on 0 when you're doing maintenance on the platen. So you just, so that gets the line spacer out of the way. So we got that all the way almost out. Okay, so we're gonna put that away. And now we're gonna work on that right knob. First thing we're gonna do is remove the knob by using a 1/16 Allen head key. One of these, it's the smallest one in the set. If you have a set, it's the smallest one in this set. You can get at Walmart, I think. So you just put this in there because it's got, some of them might have a different screw, but you might need to use that short side too, because if it's rusty at all, then it's not going to come off easy. And don't, if you strip it, then you're in big trouble. So it's kind of like risky to try to get, if you start stripping it, then you might just want to leave it alone and figure something else out for your typewriter. Okay, so that's off. Now we're going to remove these 2 screws on the side panel here. This one is a shorter, smaller screw. There's 2 different sizes, and they're both pretty skinny slots, so you got to have a skinny slot screwdriver. So that one was the smaller, shorter one, and this one is the longer, bigger head. And then those come off, and then you can just put that away for now. So now we're gonna remove that nut on the end. It's a nut with a screw in it with this. So you got to have this 5 metric. You can't go with standard with this because it's made in Italy, so, or Spain, or so wherever it's made, it's usually metric with a 5. And then you're just going to open that, and then let's move this paper bail out of the way, and then we're going to just completely remove this screw here. And then this, it's got a swing arm on the other side, so you want to make sure that swing arm is in, I like to put it in the up position so it doesn't get stuck down in there, because we're going to have to put that back. So now you have all that side removed, and you should be able to move this paper release arm out of the way, and it just lifts right out like this. And you can see the other side, that's where it screws in. So now the platen's removed. Next we're going to remove the paper rest, and this should just kind of slide in and out. You can just wiggle the paper release to get this to just maneuver that out. It's got hooks in the front. You don't want to bend anything. Like I said earlier, if you're doing maintenance on a typewriter, you never want to force anything out. You just want to finesse it out, I like to say. So now you have access to the rollers, and these are already replaced. So to get the front ones out, you just kind of maneuver the paper release, and what that does is it kind of gives it clearance to remove on either side. And that, you can see the path on the other side where it just kind of has a slot that's at an angle. You just got to get that slot, and you can use the paper just like that. So that's the paper release, allowing you to maneuver that out. And on the top one, it's a little different. You have to maneuver it, and then, let me back up here. You have to maneuver it, and possibly with some needle nose, so I can get a better view. Sorry, I'm not a professional cameraman here. So you're just gonna, so you have a grip here, and then you're just gonna want to maneuver it, and you got to push it through a slot on this right side, so you could get this left side freed out. And once you get some clearance, you should be able to move it to, oh, so the swing arm got in the way just from me jiggling this thing around. So now that swing arm's in the way, I just want to so that thing can become an issue when you're dealing with a lot of moving parts. So now we have it back again, and we'll just deal with that in a little bit. We're just going to get this out by pushing it down and through the right slot. There we go. Sometimes you can get that out easy, and sometimes that swing arm gets in the way. So it just depends on your luck, I guess, of the draw. So now that we have the rollers out, what you're going to do, these are already replaced. So what you're going to do is take whatever you have to like cut that, or just with some pliers rip off your existing rubber, and then you're just going to slide these on, like, just slides right on just like this into place. And there's little cuts to show you exactly where you're supposed to stop at, and that just slides over like that. Doesn't need any glue or anything. And then that's it. Once you got those on, then we're going to put those back in just the way we took them off. Now if you look in there, you can see where this is supposed to go in. There's a little angle slot right there, and we're just going to, we actually have to put in this right side first because it has that clearance. So let me show you how that works. We're going to move that swing arm out of the way. See, if you're smart, you get that swing arm position before you get in here. So now I have to move that out of the way. See, just like that, when you get a screwdriver, you can swing that thing out of the way. And then you push that in, see how it goes through that slot? So that gives you clearance. So you can put this one in and make sure that paper release is engaged, and then you can take the pliers so you have better grip. And now that slot is in. See, you can see how it fits in there like that, and then on the right side it's in its little slot there too. So now we're going to put in the front ones, and if you look in there, you can see the hook that it goes into at an angle, and if you move the paper release, you can access that. See it? Now it's, when it's hidden there, that's when it's, so that's where you want it, and it just fits right in there at an angle. There we go. And now we're going to do the right side, which is the same exact thing. It just fits right into that, just like that. So now that's in. All right, so now I want to fish out that swing arm before we do anything else to make sure that it's got clearance. So when you button this thing up, you don't have to take it back apart to get clearance to get that in. And you probably can't see what I'm doing. So you got to kind of move the paper bell out of the way. It's a pain. This thing is, it's not hard to figure out, but it's just in there in a crevice. So we're just gonna, there we go. So now that I have it moved, you can see it up here now. That's kind of where I want it to be. And once I move the paper bell up, it rests on that, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. So that's where it should be in the beginning, but I was shaking the typewriter so much it just wiggled through. All right, so now we're gonna put on the paper rest or the paper bed. I guess the paper bed is the correct term for this. And it has little slots right here. This slot goes underneath the front roller. So you wanna just like this, like kind of underneath there, and then just get that little slot underneath, and then nice and fit. When it fits on there, you could tell when it's sitting right. If it's not sitting right, if it feels like it's protruding to a certain extent, it's not like flush like that, then you need to redo it and figure out those hooks. Because when you put your platen on there, you're gonna bend it if it's not correct. And then once you bend that, then you're gonna have issues feeding paper. So the platen's gonna go in just like you took it off. We're gonna put it in the left side first, and just goes right in that hole, and then this side just goes right. So we're gonna move that paper release to the front, and now we have the platen in place where it's supposed to be, and we're gonna make sure that swing arm is correct and not lost in there, and to get it out might be a little bit of a challenge. There we go. So that swing arm, and then you can just finesse it through. So now it's perfectly where I need it to be, so I'm just gonna leave that. And now we're gonna put on this left knob, and you're just gonna make sure it's threaded good. So if it feels like it's not smooth when you're turning this, then you got it cross-threaded, and if you do that, then you got big time issues. You just want to make sure that you don't want to force it. It doesn't feel like it's got any resistance. And then once it's nice and snug, you don't have to tighten it all the way yet. You're gonna push it in, and then we're gonna put that on 1, and make sure that when you hit the carriage return, it turns it. If you have it out too far like this, it's not gonna work. So you gotta put it in, put it on 0, put it in, test it, works. So now is the crucial part. We're gonna put in the nut that we took off, which is this nut here. So it's a nut with a screw in it. And then we're gonna put that in this swing arm that was giving us so many problems. You might not have problems with that. You might get lucky and just not have to deal with it. You might get stuck in there, and you have to take, if you don't have that position correctly when you put the platen on, you're gonna have to take it back off so you can maneuver it through back through to where it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna hand tight it as much as I can, and then I'm gonna take my 5 wrench here, and while I'm pushing down on the top here, this is a crucial part. If you don't push, if this isn't all the way down, then you're gonna have slipping issues with feeding paper. So it has to be all the way down, pushed down like this. Get a little bit better clearance. So that's gotta be pushed down, and then you wanna tighten this, not too much, but not enough. And then you're gonna make sure that the platen turns. So now that we have that done, you're not done yet, because this part, I mean, obviously you got to put on that knob, but if this part isn't pushed in like that as much, sorry, you can't see that. If the left knob isn't pushed in all the way, then that's not gonna, the paper return's not gonna work. So make sure that's pushed in all the way, and then we can put on the knob. And the knob has to be in all the way too, so that way there's no room for this to move at all, and it's going to feed properly, it's going to turn properly. And we're just going to line up those screws. There's indentions on that rod, on the end of that rod there, where the screws are supposed to be. We're just going to put them on just like that. So right now they are a little too tight. I'm just going to loosen those up a little bit. You want to be careful with this too, because these will fall out and get lost forever. And you can't really just buy those. Kind of, actually, I don't want to do that yet. Sorry about that. I'm going to do this first. I do that all the time, and then I have to take it back off. We're going to put that on with the longer screw first. Goes in on the bottom. And this is just like any other screw. You want to make sure that that is threaded in properly, because this is all cast aluminum and cast iron stuff that will strip very easily. So that's nice and smooth. I'm just going to snug tighten that. You don't want to tighten it too much because you still got to put this one in and it's got to line up properly. And if it's not lined up properly, you strip your screw. There we go, nice and good. Now let's put on the knob and then we're done. We're going to test everything to make sure everything works first after we put the knob on. I got the screw lined up with the indentation. And then once you get it nice and tight, it turns and fits right into place. It feels like that's where it's supposed to be. Now we have a fully assembled platen with new rollers, and we're going to test those rollers. Put this up. Beautiful. Best machine in the world has now got new rollers. And if you need the feet too, check my shop. Those just plug in. These are the originals, but I have the synthetic rubber 3D printed ones available. Thanks for watching.